What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Ocean Crash, and welcome to Before We Work. My name is Canon Mikho, as I said, aka Ocean Crash. And yeah, let's jump right into it. So, a few things I wanted to talk about today. The first one being credit cards, and the second one being cars and life after college. It's a question I get commonly, from the youth that I'm surrounded by. I'm involved in a lot of communities, and there just so happens to be a lot of people who have just entered college or are about to graduate college, or they're in the middle of the college and they're thinking about their future. And I'm not that old myself. I'm 23 years old. I graduated college a little over a year ago. So I was somewhat in the same boat not too long ago. And common question I get is, when should I use my credit cards? Like should I get credit cards? And the second one is, what's life like after college? Is it the same? And is it going to be just like how it was when I was in college? Well, for me, it was a little bit different because I didn't live at home for college, so I accrued more debt than was necessary for me to be there. I went to a state school. I went to Northern Illinois University, graduated with a degree in marketing, with a minor in interactive marketing, and with over 10 plus certificates, being around the marketing field, one of which is in computers. So, life after college is very, very different than what most people would like to think it is. Now, this varies from person to person, family to family, culture to culture. I'm a culture of which I don't move out of my house once I finish college. So I actually dormed for college. I didn't dorm. I dormed my first year, and then I got an apartment the last 3 years. Since I was so far away from home, I had to. But when I came back, my expectation was always to be with the family. Still, I never was able, to move out. Not that I wanted to. But yeah, so that was something that was always there, was always expected for me as I graduated college. And I know for some people, when they graduate college, they're expected to move out of the house, or they don't want to be home. And, their parents are made aware of that. It's nothing like shocking. So I have my own friends, good friends of mine, whom live 5-10 minutes from me, and they immediately after they graduated college, their full intention was to move out and get their own house and whatnot. And immediately, what did I find out? Issues they faced when they moved out of college. They weren't prepared. And I'm sure they can say the same thing too if we were to have a team meeting slash interview. And it's something you expect when you graduate from college. You're not prepared for life. You're not prepared to live on your own, to pay your utilities, your rent, which is probably going to be a lot higher than where it was in my state school. So, and they went from living with 4 people to 2 people. So it's just a whole mixture of things. Where on the other hand, when I moved out, I just moved home. I had no rent. I had no additional, payments, besides rent. I was sitting on that grace period, the 6-month grace period after you graduate. You don't have to pay for 6 months. It's a grace period. They give you breathing room to adjust, situate, get a job, save up money, yada yada. And yeah, so life after college was different for me. So one, I loved college. So when I left college, I didn't miss it for about 4 or 5 months, and after that, I was like, I miss college, I miss school, I miss education, I miss the culture, I miss the lifestyle, I miss the socialization, I miss everything about it. The activities, I was very active, 5-6 organizations, so that when I came back home and I moved out of college, what did I see? I was a lot more bored because I was not involved. I was working, and that's it. So I needed to find ways to fill that up, and I joined organizations here. I'm part of my church youth group. I'm part of a Syrian Student Association. I'm part of committees that revolve around helping martyrs, Syrian martyrs, trying to get involved politically for my Syrian people, which I'm not a huge fan of American politics, but unfortunately, there's not enough people in Assyrian politics that I'm trying to force myself into it. It's kind of two different beasts, but the same animal. um, yeah, and I'm trying to get involved so much more. I've been trying to find time to do Habitat for Humanity, since that's one of my passions. I love building houses, and I love doing it for a good cause. So been trying to find ways to fill up my time in terms of organization. I always have work to do. That's not an issue for me, but it's always been more so time that's been an issue for me. So since I have work to do at home, but I don't have enough time to dedicate it to other things. So filling up that void, that change in lifestyle is a huge thing to expect after college. That's the one. Two, is financially. There's a lot of things I can bring into this, and it's varies situation by situation. But I'll tell you this now, and I'll tell you again: you won't be prepared. And if you are prepared, go in with the mentality that you aren't. So when something does happen, you will be, because you prepared. You worked extra hard to make sure that you were prepared, even though you may not be. But if you have the mentality that it's not enough, what I'm preparing for is not enough, I need to keep preparing more and more and more and more. I need to save up more money. I need to spend less. I need a budget. I need to reduce my costs. I need to maybe cancel Netflix and only have basic TV or whatever it is. Or maybe just use your internet for TV, which I think is the smartest idea to do. I don't think you should be paying for TV right after college. You pay for internet, you have Netflix, or you pay for internet, you have YouTube. You can watch a bunch of things. So there's that. Budget, save up money. Don't. Number one mistake any financial advisor will tell you. Number one mistake: do not buy a car after college. Do not buy a new one. Only buy. So this financial advisor I follow, his name is David Ramsey. He says, never in your life, unless if your value is less than $200,000, you should never buy a car that's more than $15,000. And if your value is below $90,000 to $100,000, you should never buy a car more than $10,000. So never buy a car that's $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 right after college, just because you're going to make more in the future. I mean, I'm a marketer. Marketers make really good money, but I knew that when I first started off, I'm not going to be in that situation. It's going to be a couple of months, maybe years before I get in that situation. So I knew not to buy a brand new $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 car. Instead, I bought a $10,000 Cadillac. And to be honest with you, I could have went even cheaper. I could have bought it in a Mitsubishi Galant or something like that. That's like $3,000, $4,000. But I was a little bit spoiled. So never think you're ready for finances. You're not. You have $500, $600 rent if you're living by yourself. You have $100 worth of utility. You have $100 worth of utilities. You have $100, worth of cable and internet. Your gas and electric. Some might charge you a garbage fee. If you're in apartments, they charge you. You have your deposits. You have to put down a deposit. You have cleaning fees when you leave the house. You have all of these expenses, and then you have unexpected expenses. Your car breaks down, your tires pop. A lot of times people aren't ready for that. So go to Dave Ramsey, Google Dave Ramsey 7 steps, and then look up 7 baby steps, he calls it. And that's basically the 7 baby steps to becoming financially successful in your life. The first one they say is, save $1,000 as an emergency fund. Do not touch it unless you're in an emergency. Like you have no money in your account, your car's broken down, whatever it is. $1,000 is in your emergency fund. Number two is step number two, there's 7. I'm not gonna go through all 7 steps, but step number 2 is pay off all your debt. So pay off your credit cards. That's one thing I faced in college, which contributed to me not being financially ready for at post life, was that I worked a lot. When I was in college, and I went to classes, and I still wasn't able to afford everything. And there were times I needed to ask my parents for help. But long story short, I accumulated credit card debt simply because I didn't have the money to not do that. So I had to pay with credit cards for some situations. So luckily, I'm glad to say I've paid all of my credit cards off after college. It's been a year and 2 months, 1 month, a year and a month, 2 months, August, since I graduated college. May to June to July. A year and 3 months. It's been a year and 3 months since I graduated college, and I paid off all my credit cards. So it's good. It's good to have that feeling. I just have student loan debt now, which is something I'm working on. Doesn't go by that easily. But that's another thing. Don't constantly postpone your student loan debt. Don't do that. If you have multiple loans, take your smallest one and focus on that one first. What I personally am doing, I have one that's $2,000, and I have one that's like $30,000. And that one that's $30,000 is a minimum payment of $600 a month. I'm postponing that one as much as I can to remove the smaller ones in the process. So I have 5 loans in total, which accumulate to like $40,000 in student loan debt, something like that, 30, 40, something like that. Which isn't that bad compared to the average is like 55, I think, 60. I have some friends of mine that are $90,000, $100,000 in debt. They didn't get like a doctor's degree or anything like that. So I'm happy with where I'm at. I had scholarships. So I'm paying off my smaller ones first, pausing my bigger ones. This is true. The bigger ones do accumulate interest, but you have less loans in your name, and you can fully invest all of your money into that single big loan. So pay off your smaller ones. Even if you don't have to pause it, even if it's in the 6-month grace period, you want to start paying off your smallest ones. Go right ahead if you can. If you can budget out your expenses. That's what number 3, it kind of connects to number 2, is budget your expenses. Prep yourself out for life after college. Budget. If you're earning a monthly income, prepare yourself. Save up money. Don't live paycheck to paycheck. Don't do that. It's not a life you should be living. And I see a lot of my friends that are doing that, and they can't save up money, paycheck to paycheck, because they're still living a life that isn't accurate. It's not something they should be doing, whether it's spending money on useless stuff, on activities or hobbies that they shouldn't be, because they're not in financial situation to be doing so. But yeah, that's 3. 4. And lastly, get ready psychologically for moving out of college. So, the biggest thing I faced psychologically was I was not constantly surrounded by my friends anymore. I was not surrounded by people I spent 4 years with, living with constantly. I was lucky to have 2 of the people I dormed with. I moved into a house with one of them, and the other one I stayed best friends with till this day. Both of them, actually, I'm best friends with till this day. I'm actually lucky to say that a lot of my friends from college, I've kept a very solid communication with until this day, and it helps a lot, to be honest with you, with maintaining life after college. I built on those relationships, but I forgot where I was going with this. But psychologically, be connected with people. Be connected with your friends, because when you come home, it's gonna feel like a total change in lifestyle, where you're used to going to college every day. You're used to, education. You're used to, homework. You're used to not contributing as much to family issues, if you have any, financially or mentally or physically, moving stuff around or painting or whatnot. But when you graduate college, you have to contribute full force. That's it. You're an adult, full force contribution, financially, physically, mentally. If the family has any issues, any worries, guess what? You're part of them now. If any medical issues, any financial issues, you are not part of that equation. You were given time to finish yourself, your success. You have a duty as a person of that family to help them. And sometimes it can take getting used to. I'm not going to lie. When I came back, there were times where I was a little bit frustrated with being, more involved. It was something that I was not used to because I was so easy to the relaxed life of being in college. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. And I think psychologically is the biggest part, really. Till this day, I keep in touch with some of my friends who they tell me, like, hey, I'm struggling, or like I'm stressed, or I just want to go back to school, and because it seems it's like an escape. So definitely get ready psychologically and mentally for it. And make sure, do your best when you're in college not to accumulate credit card debt. I will tell you that right now. It's the biggest mistake you could possibly do. Get a job when you're in college. Get a job. I mean, it's don't resort to credit cards. When you graduate college, you're gonna hate it because all the time after college you could be spent saving up money and using it to invest in a year or two down the line. You have to push that timeline back until you pay off your credit card debt. So that's what I can recommend for financials and life after college. I mean, it's been a year and 3 months for me after college. My time has spent mainly paying off credit card debt, helping my family with whatever help they need, saving up money for future. I'm thinking about my future a lot, whether it's for my business or it's for my loved ones or for my parents or whatever it is, for investing. Be prepared. Find goals in your life that you want to accomplish, whether it's paying off your mom's mortgage or something like that. Find a goal, focus on that goal, buy a house, invest, buy in stocks, do whatever it is, but invest your money and get ready financially for life after college, because it's definitely not the same. At face value, it may seem like you have less expenses, but in reality, even if you move out, your expenses are going to be astronomically higher, because unless you plan on staying somewhere like in the same area you grew up in. So I know it's a different situation for everyone. Not everyone's going to have the same situation. So for example, we went to school in Farmville. I went to school in Farmville, and when we came back, and all of our friends went to their respective cities that they grew up in and that they planned to move into, was a lot higher rent, a lot higher cost of living, because you're not in Farmville anymore. You're closer to the city of Chicago. And I know Chicago is a sketchy example because high property taxes, high everything. It's a little bit different if you were to live in Kentucky, where I'm sure rent is very cheap, or Texas. But yeah, guys, that's my spiel for today. I've got to get to work. I hope this wasn't as unorganized as I thought it was. Just wanted to spew my thoughts about life after college and credit cards and debt within that same realm. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 4 of Before We Work. You guys have a great day. Peace.